Dear reader, you are not alone. My name is Tarryn Sky, and this is my celiac life story. It started for me 8 years ago. I was diagnosed with celiac disease. And years before that, I noticed that my stomach was giving me issues, and I had visited many doctors, sick kids hospital all over, and every single place told me I had IBS or lactose intolerance or misdiagnosed or no diagnoses. And eventually I decided to go gluten-free on my own, just trying to test out, what works, what doesn't work. I was on vacation actually, and I just tried to cut out gluten from my diet in any way I understood. So obviously I was still having salads, which may have had gluten in the dressing, but knowing that I'd cut out breads and stuff like that, I already noticed the change in just cutting it out on my own. When I came back, I went to my doctor, told him, I think I could have a gluten allergy or gluten intolerance. I don't think at that point I even considered celiac disease. I don't know if I even knew it existed. It is disheartening to keep going with doctors and trying new things and then realizing nothing's helping, or being told then you're lactose, and it's like, but I'll take my lactose pills and I'll try new pills or a different brand and see if it works better for me, but nothing works. I feel how my body feels, and yeah, a little bit of stomach pain is somewhat normal, but feeling it every single day, there has to be something else wrong. So it is disheartening to know that either it's not fully believed, or celiac isn't so severe, or as severe as many other stomach problems, but it's severe enough where you can feel something every single day. I finally went for a blood test, which confirmed I had celiac disease, and then there's a final confirmation with a colonoscopy, and that confirmed for sure. I used to notice that I had elevated, bumps, really tiny bumps on my skin, specifically on my cheeks and my arms. My dermatologist told me it was called keratinase skin. I was diagnosed with that, I think around 8 years old, and I noticed that the skin creams she prescribed to me did not help my skin. Over time, I decided to just go off of them because I didn't want to put something unnatural on my skin that wasn't even helping it at all. It was one of those things where you're so young and you don't want to have anything wrong with you. You worry so much about what people think of you. So it was just one of those things where it's like, if the skin cream isn't working, and what is it? What can help me? Just naturally going off of gluten on its own really did help my skin. I wasn't really using any product at that point in time because I was still learning kind of how my body was reacting to gluten. But once I was diagnosed and I removed gluten from my diet, I could visibly see a skin difference and my skin clearing up and just feeling better every single day in general from starting to avoid gluten at that point in time. I've looked back at pictures specifically me at birthday parties eating cake or pizza. I enjoyed that food at that point in time, but I think my body, it was really clear that my body wasn't enjoying it. Just by my face going, completely white. I won't use any products that have gluten in them, just because I don't have to always think about washing my hands. So green beauty products was definitely a better idea for me going forward. Certain products I'm very specific with only having gluten-free skincare products, and that I only learned over time. So when I do go out and tell people that I'm celiac, it can be a challenge only when I'm explaining at restaurants usually, or if I'm with new friends who I don't really know, or work people specifically. Those are kind of the most challenging for me to say, oh yeah, I'm celiac, or you don't want to not go to lunch or go out with someone because you're celiac or because they're going for a sub, and you don't want to just not order anything. So those kinds of things can be a challenge because there's certain places I'm not comfortable with eating at all because of possible cross-contamination. And then there's certain ones where I'll kind of take I'll take the risk, but it can be challenging when you're with work people or in a work type environment and you don't want to be the odd one out. Most people don't realize that it is a constant battle, and you always do have to think about what you can or can't have in advance. Or so usually I'll look up menus for places that people recommend or people want to go to, and I always have to think about, will I be able to eat there? Will I not? Is it worth me telling them in advance that I can't and trying to find a better place or a better option, or just ignoring it and ordering maybe just fruit or plain salad without anything. Most people don't think about all of those things, and it's hard because a lot of people like to try new restaurants and new places, whereas when you have celiac disease, it's not so easy. I find I don't always want to try new places. I just want to go with what's comfortable or what I'm 100% guaranteed I won't get sick from, or close to 100%, because the pain of feeling like celiac sick or being glutened, a lot of people call it, is really, really painful. I miss pizza and noodles and fries, everything that is full of gluten. So I guess it's good and bad that I was diagnosed with celiac disease, because those were my favorite foods before. Cake, donuts. 8 years ago when I was diagnosed, I'm not gonna lie, the food was not so good. Since then, it's really improved. So the food, from what I remember, I call it regular food tasting like, gluten-free food has gotten so good. There's so many options out there, and there's so many ways that you can still incorporate foods you used to love with gluten-free. Everything, there's so many recipes out there. There's so many brands and products that have gluten-free certifications. A major recommendation really is just going off of it, as hard as it is initially. And there's so many people I know that say, oh, well, I've been diagnosed, but I don't have a major reaction. It's maybe you don't feel that you have a major reaction, and you might not react to it at all, but your body is reacting to it. And there's so many other possible diseases you can get later on in life if you don't look after your gluten allergy, or specifically celiac disease. If you don't look after it, I don't know, there's so many problems that you can face later on in life. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth ignoring it, and everyone's body is different. So just because you're not reacting now, or you don't see a major reaction to your body, it is still hurting your insides. When it was fully confirmed and I was finally diagnosed, I was relieved, because I knew that there was light, and there is a way that it's really me. It's sure I can occasionally get sick, but it's really my choice. If I choose to follow the diet, I'll be perfectly fine, or 99% okay. So I was just happy that I knew that there was something else wrong, and I wasn't happy that I was right, but I was happy that there was something, and there is a cure. It's just eating gluten-free. About a year and a half ago, I started my Instagram page just to kind of help people and find places, because I knew it was such a great outlet to help. Looking back, I wish that Instagram or blogs was more of a thing when I was diagnosed 8 years ago. I started it just to try to help people. I knew that it would be something that people were looking for. I noticed so many gluten-free places or gluten-free people, but no one specific always to celiac disease. So I wanted to be that touch point for people who were newly diagnosed, or looking for a place to go eat, or a holiday, or how to plan, or how to ask the right questions when they go out. I started it as an outlet so that people could find products, places, and restaurants that they'd be able to go and eat at and just feel like normal people. Right away, I realized that there was a huge amount of attention and so many people that were interested in at least learning more about celiac disease, newly diagnosed, new people that were diagnosed, didn't know the difference yet between gluten-free and celiac, or had serious intolerances or reactions to gluten, but didn't really know where to go or who to ask the questions to. So I noticed very early on that there were a lot of people that needed this kind of an outlet, and that's when I realized that this was something that could be a little bit more than just an Instagram page, or a little bit more than just helping 10, 20, 100 people out, that this could really be helpful to a greater amount of people. And knowing that I didn't have the outlet 8 years ago, and that people now can have it, I thought would be very helpful. I get a lot of feedback, all different. Often I'll get questions that are, like I said, what's the difference between gluten-free and celiac? What places do you recommend? Where can I go on vacation that can help me find or help me be comfortable eating? A lot of people have other allergies too, not just celiac, or they're celiac and then have a nut allergy. I mean, I'll get anything from, I was diagnosed yesterday, what do I do? What do I change? This is so overwhelming, to I was diagnosed 30 years ago, and I'm so glad that, I mean, there's so many places now that can help me. You definitely aren't crazy, and you're not alone. There are other people out there with similar problems or similar situations happening, so just to keep going with your gut and go and get more tests done until you figure out exactly what's wrong with you.